or earth. The living entity wastes his time in a futile attempt to gain material possessions for the comfort of one body after another. Let's read the translation again. A living entity desires comfort for his body and makes many plans for this purpose, but actually the body is the property of others. Indeed, the perishable body embraces the living entity and then leaves him aside. Amajanatimirandasya Gnanjana Chalakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tatsmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manabhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadamdikam. Andeham Shri Guru Shivda Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Shagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Dagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vinnavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutadevi Padamami Hari Priye Jaitam Suratupango Mama Manda Matyagati Matsavasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Mukam Karati Vachalam Pangum Dangate Girim Yakripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Namom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimakte Bhakti Vedanta Swami Miti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashacha Desatarine Panchakapa Tarivescha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Tanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, let's start with Srila Prabhupada's description of a body. Prabhupada said the body is a bag of stool, urine, blood, and bones. And he went on to say that if one believes that intelligence comes out of those elements, then he is a fool. Now here we have, I think, two things that stand out. It's about the body and the comfort that it demands. As we know, this chapter is about Prahlad Maharaj, who learned all he needed to learn in the womb of his mother, whilst being tutored by Narada Muni. As you'll see later on, that Prahlad Maharaj is the complete opposite of his father. So we have his father, Hiranyakashipu, this, I think, one of the greatest demons that ever existed, is the embodiment of the body concept of life. Prahlad, on the other side, on the other hand, rather, it's the embodiment of a spiritual concept of life. Now, we live in a world which is very into what we call Deha Dharma and Mana Dharma, which would describe Hiranyakashipu very well. And instead, Prahlad Maharaj is more into what we should be, which is our constitutional position, which is Atma Dharma or Sanatana Dharma. For more information, you can refer to the Manu Samhita, which is and in all other Dharma Shastras. Now, looking at Prahlad Maharaj's father's name, Hiranyakashipu. Hiran actually translates directly as gold, and Akashipu means pillow. The real meaning is that he's into wealth, which is gold, and pillow, which is the part of the bed, into sex life. Now this is also reflected the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, why it was spoken by Sukadeva, because Parikshit, who was cursed by a Brahmana to die in 7 days by a snake bite. Now, Parikshit was a great king, and Maharaj. He could have put a contract on all snakes and got rid of them from the world, but he didn't do that. Right? He actually did the most important thing, because he was not in the bodily concept of life. He went and we went to find out more about his maker, God, or his creator. Because apart from hiring a snake killer, he could have said, "Oh well, if I got bit by a snake, there's no problem. I'll go and see an Ayurvedic doctor, and I'll cure everything." And did for hundreds of years, but he didn't. He accepted what God had given him, his lot, and he said, "But I shall prepare for that day." So we likewise don't know our time, and this is what it's all about. 7 days could be 7 weeks, could be 7 months, could be 7 years. Whatever it is, we're still stuck with 7 miseries. Yeah, and they are being 7 miseries: birth, disease, and then the three Ks, the kleshas. Very good. I can go home now. You know everything. Yeah, and it is said that this particular verse also has can be back reference to back to Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 10, where 3 classes of men are described. One is akama, which is without desire. Then we have the sarvakama, which is sarva meaning no end or always, endless desire for material comforts, which can be anything like a car, a house, nice wife, nice children, basically a comfortable lifestyle. And then you have moksha kama, where person is actually disgusted with material desires and aspires for something void, empty, and those they're known as impersonalists. They have a freedom, but they don't actually really see God as a person. In any case, any of these 3 classes of men must worship the Supreme, which is God, whether directly or indirectly. Now, the principal desire that everybody has is for comfort. But comfort, what is comfort? Comfort is actually a material situation. It's sense gratification. We put ourselves first instead of God. Yeah. So it's in the Bhagavad Gita 5:13, the body is actually described as a city with 9 gates. Am I right? Yeah, 9 gates. So you've got two eyes, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, 2 ears, and then the other 2 below the belt, so to speak. Okay. They call it Nava Vare. Now, the people strive to satisfy their senses in a big way. Now, you say if you don't put yourself, when it comes to God, if you put actually God in the middle of your solar system, and then you find all your activities orbit around Him, then you actually really find peace and tranquility. And we shouldn't do this out of convenience, because once you make it convenient, then it becomes not a service or devotion. It becomes something material because you start to discriminate. Is this comfortable or not comfortable? I'll do this because it suits me, and the other thing doesn't suit me. In fact, Srila Prabhupada had a disciple who would do this. He would come to Prabhupada and said, "Oh, Prabhupada, I'm not qualified to do this, or I'm not qualified to do that." And after a week of this back and forth, I'm not qualified and I'm qualified to do this, Prabhupada said, nobody's qualified. We're all insignificant. Yeah. And so it's a case of not how do you call it? Bargaining with Krishna about what we should do. It's about accepting that everything you do has a benefit for yourself. It's a blessing. It's a mercy. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 11.8, Lord Chaitanya explains that those who want to return to God, or Godhead as we know, have to be nishkinchana, which means having no desire for material comfort. And he further advises us that material opulence and sense gratification through association can be more dangerous than poison. In order to carry out your service for God, which is our constitutional position, Sanatana Dharma, you must be devoid of all sense of a desire for material gain. I know many friends of mine who have been very successful actually do say that they actually make a deal with God. They say, look, if I make a certain amount of Lakshmi this month or something, I'll give you a certain percentage. And I think you should really give about 50% if you really want to deal with God. But they say, look, I'll give a percentage, and they're happy like that. I think it's best to give what when you have, and to just accept that there are lean times when you don't receive anything that is material. Yeah. But what you get is the satisfaction of doing that service. That's why we don't worship demigods like Rama, Indra, or Shiva, because yes, they can give us all the material comforts we want. And that's why if you go down, I think it's in the Krishna book, which is basically the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna as a child tells all the people in Vrindavan to stop making a sacrifice to Indra. Yeah, Indra, yeah. And to make it to Govardhan hill. And then you notice how the story follows. We have Indra, goes ape, and he starts sending all his cronies down with lightning, thunder, rain, etc. And Krishna saves the day by lifting Govardhan hill. And why is that? Because Krishna is trying to tell us there's no need to go through all these agents of mine. They've got their own duties to do in the material world. Come directly to me, because as you would make a plant grow by watering the roots of the plant, you don't need to water the leaves and the branches. Sri Kapila Deva in the 3rd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, I think 3rd canto 2993 or 43, I can't remember now. He ends that verse by saying Sama Darshanat, where your whole purpose of being conscious of God is to have not to have any more interests which are separate from God. Yeah, you bring everything in, you dovetail everything so that your interests and God's interests are one. Now, in any service, there must be 3 things, or 3 parties. What are they? They are the master, the servant, and the service. Okay, these have to be present. To be devoted, one has to dedicate one's life, one's activities, mind and soul to satisfy God. One should be akartu, without any sense of proprietorship, and have no desire to enjoy the results of one's actions. You can work. There's no harm in working. Everyone has his dharma. If you're I think I've said this before. Not everybody has to pack up and go to live in a temple. You can be a lawyer, an accountant, a doctor, even a road sweeper. You work to keep your body and soul together, but work for God. Krishna himself, in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, says that the material world is not a place for comfort. Yeah, it says dukkhalayam asashvatam. It is, which is translated, it is misery and temporary. It's life will pass so quickly by you. If you whether you're here or you're not here, it's how you have actually wanted to serve God. It is said, Krishna says that after attaining me, great souls never return to this temporary and miserable world. Why are we here, you ask? We are here because we decide to be the enjoyer like God, because Krishna is the Purusha and we are just the Prakriti. We're supposed to be enjoyed. Comfort can sometimes be like a fabric conditioner. It's to make it soft, and you think it's soft, but it's temporary. It's just not permanent. You just think, and it's there was, I think, I'm not sure, there was a lesson by whom, and I can't remember. We are actually like a person. What is it they used to do to witches? They used to dunk them in water. Yeah, and it's where what we are is that in the material way is like being dunked underwater, our heads under the water, and that joy that we think that we get is when actually they raise the chair and you get a breath of air. And that's what the material life is. It's illusory. It's not happiness. And in a moment or two, it will disappear, and you're submerged back in the water. How can we save ourselves from this agony and misery? Well, basically, we have to look at what Srila Prabhupada has done and what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did 500 years ago. But it's all written it's all recorded in the Brihanaradiya Purana. It is to chant the Mahamantra. Yeah, I can't remember the Mataji that sang in Om Sri Ram. She actually quoted this verse: Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Kevalam. Kalau nasteva, 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 gatiramita. There is no other way except to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Aside from all that, you obviously, in order to keep steady chanting, you have to have good association with other like-minded people who are interested in chanting, and then also to read the scriptures, namely the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Krishna says in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, as all who surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. So you're rewarded in your spiritual life according to how much you're willing to give to God. He's not trying to force you into anything. It's your choice. Everyone is actually searching for God. Some look for it in the material manifestation, and they will not find him. Will not find God there. Well, they will find him indirectly, but they will find something that is non-lasting. Then you have his manifestations can be partially realized through his Brahmajyoti, the effulgence, and the all-pervading Paramatma, the super soul, which is within everything and including us. The only way that you can actually realize Krishna fully is by pure devotion. So Krishna actually reciprocates according to our devotion. The more sincere we serve him, the more he is pleased. And how can you know that you're pleasing him, or you got his attention? There is a book called The Art of Transformation. It's written by His Holiness Satyananda Swami. I quote, "A cozy, material, comfortable life does not go together with wanting to experience Krishna. You sometimes have to go to the risky zone so that Krishna can reveal himself. By our nature, we tend to go to places of great comfort. The problem is comfortable arrangements obscure Krishna. Outside that comfortable zone, Krishna can see your need for him. Shri Shri Kodanitai Mahapotati. And this is the whole point of that book, The Art Transformation, is to actually make advances in our Krishna consciousness, and then you'll experience true bliss. We think that we can build fortresses of material comforts, and that and this only actually impedes Krishna or God to enter your heart. As we know, castles and fortresses can sometimes take a year to be laid siege on. Because when you actually construct fortresses and castles, you're actually treating God like your enemy. So what you should do instead is to actually organize a welcoming parade with seva and devotion. Seva being the Sanskrit word for service. We need to train ourselves to feel comfortable outside our comfortable zones and uncomfortable inside our comfort zones. Yeah. For example, a very simple example, instead of sitting in front of a nice armchair and watching television, why not read a book which talks about God? In our tradition, we read obviously the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Isopanishad, etc. Those who have other traditions can read their holy scriptures. We miss so much when we actually indulging in material activities. Does anybody know the story of Bilamangala Thakur and Chintamani? Before he became a great saint in our tradition, Bilamangala Thakur was besotted by a prostitute called Chintamani. And one day after I think a funeral or something, there was a raging storm, and the river was swollen, etc. He actually made his way across the river, crossing on what he thought it was a log, a tree trunk, in order to get to Chintamani's house. And she said something so incredible. It's, this is Krishna acting through her, and she was saintly in her heart. She said, if you took all that trouble to reach God, you would be a saint already. And with those words, actually jolted his spiritual intelligence. He packed up and renounced everything, and he left for Vrindavan and became a famous poet. That great book of poetry is called the Sri Krishna Kanamrita, I believe. Strangely enough, we hear many stories of women of the what they call the lampposts. Even in Christianity, it is said that Jesus redeemed Mary Magdalene, although I have great doubts about that. I think she was the 13th apostle. There was another story about Haridas Thakur. I think in the Srimad Chaitanya Charitamrita, where he was, they conspired to orchestrate his fall down, and he actually delivered this woman. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 11th chapter, where we speak about the 24 gurus that we have, including the 5 elements. One of the gurus was, I think, Pingala. These were instructions that were given to King Yadu or Yadu Maharaj. So, having said, you mentioned Dharma, you all know the 4 pillars of Dharma? Austerity, truthfulness, cleanliness, and compassion. Yeah. In the Bhagavad Gita, I think Krishna explains to Arjuna that Dharma is for the soul, not for the body, and yet we live in a world which is really practicing Dharma for the body and mind. Dharma can't be manufactured. It is not a resolution. You can't pass it like in Parliament or something. And yet Dharma can also mean characteristic. Everything has a Dharma. Sweetness is the Dharma of sugar. Wetness is the Dharma of water. And where's Ishan? He's not here. Hotness is the Dharma in chili, for example. I'm just saying this because he let me try some mango chutney. I nearly died. It's just too extreme for me. Also in the 14th chapter of the Gita, Krishna says that Bhakti Yogina Sevate Sagunan Samat Yaitan. By engaging in devotional service, one at once transcends the modes of the material nature. Dharma actually comes directly from God. It's in the 6th canto, Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Krishna says it's not something that can be manufactured at all. We unfortunately live in a very fast world. Everybody's running here, running there. If you see in the post office, there's a term called fast track. You can fast track everything. It's a term that's used for things. They say you can, there's fast food, fast cars, make a fast buck. Everything is fast. Well, Krishna gave us something fast also. It's tomorrow. It's called Mohini Ekadashi. It's called fasting. So we fast from grains and pulses. We should take our time to see Krishna all around us. Not take it easy, but observe. You just have to go outside and look down down the hill, and you see it's and look at the sky and the surrounding area. It's a gallery of infinite masterpieces. The colors, the shapes, sizes. There is no artist like Krishna. Anyway, I'll stop there. If you have any questions, observations, bad tomatoes, please. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I'm wondering, we see like Hiranyakashipu, for example, and maybe many of the spiritual practitioners will perform severe austerities in their practice. I'm wondering, like, for the devotee, what's the necessity for austerities, and how far does one take it? Is it important to perform severe austerities?
But Hiranyakashipu actually did austerities to please Lord Brahma, not Krishna. I think he stood on one toe with it, and from yoga position, and for I don't know how many thousands of years, and he got all the blessings that he wanted, and yet even Krishna breached that his so-called immortality. We practice austerities. As you know, when you initiated, those 4 regulative principles that we renounce, they are austerities. I mean, they are what called, we don't eat meat, fish, or eggs. No illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling. Those are already austerities. And why do they exist? I think in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will not Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Padma Purana, and which is also quoted in I think Madhya Lila of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vasavaya Satatam Vishnu. It says it's the only way we can then dedicate our time to remembering God. Why? Because at the end in Gita it says, upon leaving your body, if you remember Krishna, then you will attain him. That's why we practice austerity. So there's also, like, for example, tomorrow is Mohini Ekadashi. There's a scientific explanation for that as well. Not just because we think that we're trying to be different from other traditions. Because on the waning and waxing of the moon, which is tomorrow, the 11th day. So I don't know whether it's waning and waxing, but the moon is at its strongest in its gravitational pull upon the planet, and you'll see that the seas are even rougher, right? And on that day, and on these days that follow as well. Now, funny enough, nearly 80% of your body is made of water. So Krishna didn't invent it just to make us suffer. It's for your own benefit. Yeah. Plus, 2016, Japanese scientist wins the Nobel Prize, gets $1 million or pounds, I don't know. Anyway, fasting for between 24 and 36 hours actually causes your body to, I'm talking about Nirjala, I'm not talking about just what we do, but it can actually benefit you, because all the cells which are going rogue in your body actually go into autophagy. They kill themselves, they eat themselves. It's beneficial actually. So that Japanese scientist in 2016 got £1 million or dollars. That money should go to the Hare Krishna movement. That was wasted on him, because that it's all in Shastra. Nothing in Shastra is a chance or to make you suffer. It is it's reasonable, and it has a good reason. It's meant to benefit us. Like just like the Varnashrama system. It says in the fourth chapter of Gita, Krishna gave it to in order to put some order in our society, so that we all can make progress. Some slower, some quicker. Obviously, if we're sitting here in this temple room, we got lucky. We got put on the fast track. So, yeah, does that answer your question?
I'm going to approach the question also. It starts off as an austerity, like we refrain from eating meat. So if you like eating meat, it's an austerity at first. But then after a while, I remember I was selling some paintings to a guy in the butcher's, and he was looking at the paintings and he touched it, and a bit of the meat went onto the painting. So, years ago that wouldn't have been a big problem. I may even have just licked it up,
Yeah.
But when you've been vegetarian for a while, then it's not an austerity. And chanting as well. Chanting can taste very sour, and then after a while it tastes sweet. So it starts off as poison, but then in the end it ends up like nectar.
Well, this is as we wake up early in the morning to come to Mangalati. Some people say, "Wow, you're crazy," and I usually say, "No." But then you find it makes you prepared to face the world. After that, you get out after Guru Puja, you feel lighter, not feel the weight of the material world.
So how does somebody, they may take up spiritual life, and then in the beginning there may be austerity there. It may be difficult for him to do it. So how does he push through that and stay determined and patient until that sweet taste starts to come through?
I would say by chanting the Krishna mantra and associating with devotees. I think Prabhupada used to quote this as well, that you can tell a man by the company he keeps, and birds of a feather flock together. We really study. I think he also said Guru, Sangha, and Shastra. Sangha is very important because we have to. We can't do anything by ourselves. We cannot be our own gurus. For example, you look at every tradition; they all had gurus. Jesus had John the Baptist. Muhammad had the Archangel Gabriel. You need a guru to actually instruct you and guide you, because they as Gita says, what we call it, have seen the truth, which is the Tattva Darshana, and this is what we need. And obviously, if you are with like-minded people who believe like you do, it makes it easier, because then again, Prabhupada said, "United we stand, divided we fall." Is that okay, Prabhu? Anything else? Any more comments? Okay. Gantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Kuti Vaishnava ki. Okay.
Guru ki jai.